Hello, y'all. Hey, Josh. Hey, Josh. Just Josh. Hey, Appalachian Prepper. Hey, Appalachian Prepper. Just Josh. Think about this. This is what you need to be thinking about when it comes. Who will be the head of, what is it? Magog. Who will be the head of Magog? Now, check this out. Look at that big guy. London's UK Festival. Now, look at this. Must have a war. NATO versus Russia. All right. Now, you also got that. Now, you see this right here. UN's army is NATO. It has all the nations. Now, you remember, head of Magog. You see the festival, London, England, festival, Gog and Magog. Now, here's something you need to think about. The Bible tells you this and that. So we're going to zoom in right here, put it where you can really see it. Zoom in. We see Moscow. You see Moscow right there. And all them that's going to be fighting for the Ukraine. And you see the Ukraine's here. Moscow's there. All the nations. We bring them down. We're going to bring them down. You see all these nations. The North Pole is right up through here. It's cutting straight through. Now here's a secret that no one paid attention. Right there's Israel. That you see, it says Israel. You see right here's Israel. They're going to come from the north. Remember, after they have to figure out up here, these nations here, it's got to figure out all these nations. It's got to figure out who's going to be the head of Magog. And what gives it away is in Revelations. When you start thinking about Revelations, what did God say? What's in Revelation? What's in the Hindu book say? All of them's telling you the same thing. We're way over here. They got to do a floss bag. You know, this is America right here. This is Great Babylon. So they got to have an attack to stop Babylon, because Babylon protects Israel. So they got to stop it. Now you got to think, who's going to be the head of Magog? Now here's the catch. You got to think, they're going to be fighting. God said he's going to destroy 1/4 of man. Remember that? The Bible tells you he's going to divorce 1/4 of man. So we're going to go right here. We're going to shoot it right straight through here, just like that. When you do the whole population of NATO, and then you look at the Islam area, which is Gaza, you find out that 1/4 is all these. See? It's going to cut straight through here. And it says 1/4 of man. Well, if they're fighting to be head, and the UN has all nations in NATO to fight Russia. Remember, what was Russia called? Russia was called the Russian bear. So that means 1/4 would be all these right here. You see, going all the way over here. And you remember, they have the festival. Check it out. Gog and Magog, London, United Kingdom's festival, the Mayor's festival. So who's going to be the head? Before they even attack Israel, They got to figure out who's going to be the head. But they got to also stop America. See the difference? What's going to happen, big guy? What do you think? You have to think about it. Northern part right there. Okay, got it right there. Now you see what it says. The Bible says 1/4 of man. So it would be the armies, all these armies, going all the way up here, all the way up to Finland, Switzerland, Norway, Slovakia, Lebanon, Poland, Brazil, Ukraine, Romania, Hungary, Australia, France, England. You can count a couple of our little dummies that's in the army. And you got 1/4 of man destroyed. So they got to first figure out who's going to fight. So you got to figure out who's going to be the win. But remember, over here is the Russian bear. It's just called a bear. England has Magog and Gog festival. Who's starting everything? Wouldn't it be Magog, London, festival, the UN? You see how they do this little shit? You need to think about it. Because after they have this little war, then they have Gog and Magog coming down to Israel, where all the nation comes in. Now here's the fun part about it. When 1/4 of man gets destroyed, the second attack of Israel is China. See what I'm saying? It says Asia will come in after it, after the big war. So right now what you're seeing is who is going to be the head of Magog. Now you see it. It's a little secret. You have to remember. You read what they say, but you got to also think. This ain't World War III. World War III in the Valley of the Dead. The valley can hold every army. But right now they want to fight over the Ukraine, so they might have shifted it. You see what I'm saying? But God says when they come down to Israel attack. So you got to keep looking at it just as is. Who's going to be the head of Magog? Now you see why they need America to be knocked out in a war before a war. Now you see what we're looking at. Like, share, and subscribe, and think about that. Because that is fact. When you start thinking about Russia versus United Kingdom, remember, London is Magog. And they have a festival for Gog and Magog. Who starts all the fights? You never see Russia picking a fight with us. Who do you see picking the fights? Where do you see the false flag coming from? Because if they got weapons already in Ukraine, they got weapons, if the NATO's got their weapons in Ukraine, how easy would it be to say Russia did it and fired a weapon? You got to remember, NATO started putting weapons in Ukraine and around Ukraine for something. And it started in 2019. And then Russia just saw it this year. Now you see why he's pissed. But if they wanted a war, it would be who is starting the war, who's going to sucker America in a war, which they can say Russia, but you have to think they've been putting weapons there before Russia. They can do it too. And that's called a sucker game. But then afterwards, by 2024, someone's going to come out of this war as the head of Magog, is going to also make war with Israel. So if they make war with Israel, it's going to still go back to what I said. Figure it out. Figure it out. It ain't hard to figure it out. Who was Magog, if you really think about it, to bring war to Israel? First, they got to figure out, by fighting each other, who's going to be the head. And you always got to remember, Russia has always been called the Russian bear. All nations as one is called Magog. Now, who would be called Magog? If all nations are one at one thing, count up the nations and you'll see Magog. Think about it. You will see Magog. Now, you see, we got to find out who's going to be the head of Magog. And America's going to be suckered into it. Great mystical America, or what they call in the old Bible, since there wasn't no name America, John called it Babylon. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.